Okay.
So,
Kizna, I'm sorry in advance. I just want to point this out real quick. I love Razor's story. I love Razor's gameplay. Razor's gameplay is fun.
the problem is he's got the same problem as D-Luke, where he falls off. He falls off earlier than D-Luke, but as an early game DPS, he is great.
He is solid. He is insanely good, especially because he's a very good miner. Because if you hold his elemental skill and do it rocks,
It's basically Zhongli's.
it's basically a little version of Zhongli's, which is awesome. And I loved his gameplay when I got him. I thought it was really
he
fun.
circumvents his own energy problem with his own kit, and I thought that was cool.
Exactly. He fixes his own problem.
There's one problem, and that's one problem only.
He is a physical damage dealer.
The problem is he scales with physical stupid damage.
He's not an electric damage dealer. He is a physical damage dealer. And physical damage dealers, unless your name is Eula, they are garbage.
And even then, most Ruin enemies, especially later game Ruin enemies, just have crazy physical resistance. And that's the biggest problem. And I also don't like it because I feel like one of the best supports for Razor would be Chung Yung.
If Chung Yun didn't put infusion on Razor.
Or if Razor did not scale with physical. Because that's the only thing that buffs physical damage towards it. Mm-hmm. Is just Razor, that's his biggest flaw. That and his damage falls off later.
All in all, I was going to put Razor at B, C, somewhere.
I think, I personally, just because of his story, I would push him to B.
Yeah.
So, Sucrose.
Okay, yeah, I know you have plenty to talk about Sucrose, so go ahead.
Let's start with the negatives, because
that's the important thing, because you can't just talk about the good things with your favorite characters.
So, the problems with Sucrose is, one, her personality is kind of the shy alchemist, and it's... I'm okay with it, but it's just not, there. She's kind of a background character, and that's... Throughout the story that you see...
Also, we hardly see Sucrose. It's rare that we see Sucrose.
It is. The personality is just kind of not there. I mean, I think it's cool that she is an alchemist, and she's, looks up to Albedo and stuff, and, is very into bioalchemy, which is different than the other two alchemists in Mondstadt. And I'm like, that's cool, that there are different fields of alchemy that they cover. And that's cool. And her gameplay is a little tricky to figure out to begin with, but as a early game CC or non-5-star exclusive CC, she is the best, hands down.
Oh yeah.
There is no competition. Venti and Kazuha are great and they do their job really well, but for a free CC, she's really good, and she's almost required for protecting the point on later abysses. Mm-hmm. If you do not have the other two crowd control, her crowd control, and then also team support, where hey, no one else needs to run elemental mastery because I just grant everyone my elemental mastery to a point. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's very useful. The only thing is that getting the right element to swirl in her burst is tricky, and I know you had a problem with her skill.
Her skill sometimes just doesn't really do what I need it to do, or a lot of the times I'm trying to hit this enemy, but she turns around and faces the one random guy that's behind her and just hits him instead. And I'm like,
I feel that
so gross.
I feel like auto-targeting bursts do the same thing, where
oh, they do. Trust me, I have the same problem with D-Luke.
But all in all, a CC is the best way to crowd control, or a suction CC is the best way to crowd control.
I agree.
So I would say B or A.
I would agree on A. The thing is that asterisk, if she C6'd, she's insanely good.
She helps support everyone, but even without that, as long as she's C2'd, where she gets her extra skill, she generates particles a lot.
Oh, she does.
Especially with the sacrificial fragment, which just helps her a ton. Mm-hmm. She just barely runs into a problem of needing to charge up for a burst or anything. Mm-hmm. So we agree with A?
Yeah, I'm okay with A.
Okay. You ready for some Tartaglia?
Alright. I got ups and downs about Tartaglia. I'm going to talk about his downs first. His blades. And I don't mean the actual skill blades, I mean the cooldown of his blades. Unless he is C1, this has remained a constant problem for me. Because a lot of the times, I am swapping between my cast, and I go back to Tartaglia to turn on his blades again. Oh, I gotta wait another 5 seconds, because his blades are so freaking long. So that's one thing. Also the fact that
the bow is useless.
Bow is useless, and the bow, unless you're charge attacking, which will automatically apply a Riptide to it, the bow doesn't do anything. And now I'll get to also the fact that one target Tartaglia is not very good with.
He is a crowd control character for just slashing enemies and reapplying Riptide after critting. And
now we get to the positives.
Yeah, positives.
His crowd control is what if you get a CC with him. Oh my god, he becomes the slaughterer of mobs. He destroys mobs in like seconds.
Maybe not Venti?
Well, not Venti, like Kazuha or Sucrose or one of those two, but getting someone to pull those enemies together and then just hitting them a couple times with the blades on and the Riptide just explodes onto enemies, that is satisfying to kill all of them like that. And just, ooh, yes, his crowd control, just the more enemies Tartaglia has, the better he is.
Yeah, and he's also one of the better melee hydro applicators as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where he does a pretty good job at it. Where Ayato, I know that they did a test and he doesn't apply hydro as fast as Tartaglia does.
Mm-hmm. But still, Tartaglia is very solid. His ult does pretty decent damage too. You just
need somebody to support him while he's in his cooldown
out of blade form. You need someone to swap.
So he's half of a good character.
Like
a great character, I'll add.
Like A. Literally, Tartaglia and A are like best friends.
Literally, if you have them both, they just like synergize so well.
Work so well with each other that it's almost dumb.
Because, oh, my blades are down. Oh, my blade is up.
Hold on, let me turn on my blade. Oh, my blade's off. Turn on elemental skill. Have fun, Tartaglia. Okay, my blades are back.
Like it works out just too well.
It works too well. That's the problem.
And the problem is, I know you don't like Ball, so...
I do not like Ball, but the fact that she works almost perfectly with Tartaglia really infuriates me. All in all, I put Tartaglia at like B or A.
I agree. Where are you thinking?
I'll put A. I really like his personality. His personality grew on me a bit, and I love that he is kind of a family man. So
he's just kind of a mischief kind of person, but he's like, hey, I do care about my family, and the only reason I'm doing this is because it's a job. That and I like to fight.
That too. All in all, A. I agree, A.
Okay.
Xiangling. Okay.
My food's attacking me.
The thing is that at first I did not care for her, and her kit was meh for me, but
she just scales so well.
When I put the ER set and I put a decent spear on her, and she became C6, holy crap, did she deal damage?
Her burst dealt damage. She supported other pyro characters that are really good.
Hu Tao. And the fact that, God, and also her personality just grew on me. I don't know what it was, but
God Goba.
God Goba literally grew. I'm going to be honest, I want to say S. Like S or A.
Like, I can agree with... The problem is you have to fully invest into her in order to make her, like, completely viable. So I think more A tier, personally. Mm-hmm. Unless you've got some, like, huge argument to push her up to S.
No, not really. I could agree with A or S up there because she is just insanely good. The only problem is the only way to get energy for her is Goba. Unless you have a battery. Which, a majority of the time, you probably will.
You run Bennett. Or another pyro character, that's all you need. But Pyro Resonance is not bad, so why not?
Well, literally, the typical team is like Hu Tao, Xiangling, at least Zhongli, and then like, I don't know, like an electric character like Beta or Fischl. And all in all, A, I agree. Solid A. All right. I'm going to leave this one to you. You have the floor.
S tier. End of story.
Wow.
So the reason I put Zhao up in S tier is because, one, his story is just great. he is like the last of his brothers, and he honors them by doing his job and keeping up with brothers and sisters. Excuse me, thank you. He is keeping up with his contract with Zhongli, and then his gameplay is interesting, and honestly, I find it really fun to play. I understand when people are like, hey, his gameplay is not my cup of tea, and I'm like, that's fine. He's not for everyone. But I just have so much fun. He does good with bosses, mobs, and then just, honestly, his skills hit like a truck. Everything is worth crowning on his kit. I mean, his constellations are not necessary at all, and he just works out the box.
That is something I will say about Zhao. He is a character that right when you get him, he is a character that works right when you get him out of the box. Right when you get him, boom, he's usable.
The only issue is that he needs a healer on him.
Yeah.
So he has a required team party member. And it has to be some kind of healer. Preferably an off-field healer, like Barbara, Chi-Chi, or Kuki. All of them work well. Having Zhongli also helps a lot, because you get staggered quite a bit. And it's also really nice for exploration. For both the dashes in mid-air, which get you crazy distance. I think Kazuha's technically goes further, but they're still pretty comparable to each other. And then the immune to plunge damage. When you take fall damage from plunge damage. That is so useful. And I forget about that because I play Zhao so much. So my other characters take fall damage, even though it's reduced, via plunge. So I just fall from, like, the heavens down, and I'm like, oh shoot, my character died.
Mm-hmm. I agree for a majority of the part. I am going to talk about a bit of a negative here. The only problem is Zhao, what you just said, Zhao is team locked. He is locked to having someone that needs to resist interruption and a healer. He needs these two.
He likes a shielder, not required, but he needs a healer. You can't run him without it.
Immediately required, otherwise Zhao will die.
Or, if you are really good at the game, you can just have a shielder, aka Zhongli only. But that's still a locked position in your team comp for him. And he doesn't mesh well with certain characters as well. Like, Cannibal does not work well with Zhao because her spear tornado thing doesn't keep up.
Yeah, it really does. It struggles to keep up with him.
Chingcho's also doesn't work because he plunges. He's got a very niche team comp he can use. And there's not a lot of people who support his team comp as well. Mm-hmm. But his story game, I honestly love his gameplay. Mm-hmm. And he hits like a gosh dang truck. Like even still in my adventure rank almost 60, I still double tap like standard hilly trolls with my dashes. I just boom, boom, gone. And I'm like, that is so helpful. Or at least boom, boom, half their HP is gone. I'm like, that's really nice for exploration, just where I don't really want to deal with them. Kill them quickly.
Yeah, so all in all, I would agree that Zhao is an S tier. I would agree. Zhao is a very, very good damage dealer.
I feel that he could use a lot more support.
He does. He is locked to basically not really have anyone to support.
And he does like to have a battery, like Sucrose, or even like Jean, just to give him some extra particles. But in all honesty, I think his flaws help support. Like, he is a good risk and reward character, where you get what you pay for when you go for the risk. So I'm done with my Zhao spiel.
Okay,
we can move on.
All right, Xingqiu.
All honesty, if we're just talking about gameplay, S tier.
But because of his goddamn personality, he gets kicked down to A or B. Literally, his gameplay is so good, but his goddamn personality just knocks it down.
The problem is, he straight up bullies Chung Young, and I hate that.
Oh yeah, he does.
And somebody else also hates that.
But Gata Xingqiu, his ultimate does so much damage. His elemental skill gives you interruption resistance, and it'll heal you at the end of it. I mean, it's not a lot, but
that doesn't add anything. The healing doesn't add anything.
It's just there. But his ult and the fact that his elemental skill gives you so many particles.
That is ridiculous.
To the fact that he's like, 1/, I have my ult. Oh, if you put sacrificial on me, I can literally, elemental skill, ult, elemental skill, my ult's on again.
Yeah.
Well, my ult's already on. Like, he gets his ult so crazy fast.
That, and he's got a very niche, like, cover for the, reduce damage without it being a shield, which nobody else really does, and I feel like that's really nice. The healing is just not a factor. It doesn't add or subtract anything to him. I think it's just, if it didn't exist, wouldn't have made any difference to me, for my opinion on him.
But all in all, Xingqiu is insanely good. Literally, the only reason he's even that low is just because of his personality.
We just don't like that he bullies our good boy.
Our good boy Chung Yun. But, jeez, I hate that he's so good.
Like, he is...
It's the same thing with A. I hate that they're so good.
Like, versatility and, like, tool-wise, they are just so incredibly good. And you should definitely invest into Xingqiu.
Please invest in Xingqiu and Bennett.
Xingqiu and Bennett just scale so well.
Get them, invest in them. They are worth it.
But Waterboy is also really good, except for certain scenarios, like Zhao. But, like, he just works well with most
a majority of the cast just works with him.
Or is at least not harmed by him.
Yeah.
And it's just free extra damage.
It is.
And it's just based off of your just attacking normally.
Alright, you want to get this one out of the bag? You just want to...
Okay, so Rosaria.
At least, because you invested in her.
So
I haven't.
I got her to 70. I tried to use her. I got her for, like, Dragon Spine to see if I could use her for, like, lighting torches and stuff. Her skill takes too long to get on. The fact that you have to hit multiple enemies to get different level of shields is annoying. It's the same thing with Diona, where you can whiff and you just don't get it. Her level 3 shield is really good, don't get me wrong. The problem is, if you burst to get her level 3 shield, which is super nice and cool and stuff, and it always crits, that's also really good. If you use her skill after, it will reset it to whatever level you got from that skill. And I think that is stupid.
So, basically, long story short, you get a level 3 shield by popping your ult. But when you pop your skill, you take your shield back down to level 1.
And I'm like, radiating the pyro damage is nice. I mean, her shield isn't great, and she scales with D for being a pyro character. So there's no tools that work with her. There's no def set for non-Geo characters, and it doesn't work unless they're literally off the field the entire game. But she's also got stuff for physical damage dealers, which there's only 2 that dedicate in it, and they don't need her help, or the reactions don't help them. Because just her tools don't work.
They don't. That's the sad part.
Everything that she does doesn't work. And that's what upset me. I'm like, I tried to build you. I tried to use you. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. And you spat in my face. I am not joking. I gave up and built my level 1 Bennett so I could use light torches on Dragon Spine when it came out. That's my feel. Anything you want to add?
No, you basically said everything I wanted.
I mean, her personality is okay. Yeah. Again, not really my cup of tea, but nothing like against it.
Yeah.
So it won't sway me to put her higher for her personality, like Amber.
Yeah.
Even though gameplay wise they're almost the same. But just her personality doesn't give me anything.
Yeah.
So Rosaria.
Put her in D, crit bot. That's all I want to say.
I mean, realistically, that is her only thing she gives. Like, good cryo application, like, and she has, like, a good cooldown, like, only second to only, like, Kaya for her skill. So she generates good cryo particles. And her burst she's basically a burst bot. You are using her just to get crit. That's it.
Literally, the only reason I looked at her kit, I looked at her gameplay, And I just said, this is literally just a crit bot. You use your skill, you pop her ult, you swap off. The fact that I've seen more people build her for a damage dealer.
Physical damage! That pisses me off!
To build her for damage dealing than actually doing her job of being a crit bot infuriates me.
Well, like, 15% crit rate is great.
15% crit rate to your party is amazing if you give her 100% crit rate.
True.
But a majority of the time you want to give her crit rate because that's her job.
And the thing about it is, applying cryo efficiently, that's pretty good. So if you're fighting the Abyss Herald or the Abyss Lector, especially, well, they're not as much in the Abyss, Spiral Abyss much anymore, but back when they first came, or like were introduced in there, she was a good way for me to take them out. That and Chungyun, my Abyss Slayer. I give him the Rainbringer. the Abyss Slayer. But those were my ways to actually deal good cryo damage without having a dedicated cryo damage dealer. I think at least C, just because decent cryo applicator.
That's alright, I'll be argued to C. But like her personality, I don't care
You know
for.
what? You know what? So gameplay wise, C, personality wise, I agree. The angsty nun, Then she's mean to Barbara. I'm like, come on, Barbara's just trying to be your friend.
Yeah.
And then in the last event,
she gets creepy with Razor. I'm like, stop being creepy with Razor.
If you're going to be angsty, stay angsty. Just be like, but don't be like, oh yeah, Razor's my brother.
Oh yeah, Razor, me and you are siblings. Razor doesn't even understand his shut up.
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't help him.
D is fine.
Okay, Eula. I'm gonna be honest. I want to put it at C or B.
I
just because of her ult.
I think C because the problem is most new ruin enemies just shut her down.
They do shut her down.
I mean, the nuke that she can do
is crazy.
Like the multipliers you can get, her Icefall sword is just crazy. She's got tools to work with, like for. And cryo's a decent element, even though she doesn't actually
She's a physical damage dealer.
I mean, just for the little bit of cryo application she does.
Yeah.
She is a 5-star Razor.
Basically,
for physical damage.
Yeah.
And
we have 5-star Razor, but we'll talk about him in a while.
No, that's electric damage 5-star Razor. But we'll get to him at the end. Well, near the end.
Yeah.
But I think C, just because she falls off, and all honesty, her personality just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Her personality is, I have no beef with it. She's just a tsundere.
I think you could probably tell that we don't care much for tsunderes.
It's just
because the other tsundere is right here.
Yeah.
I think it should, for gameplay wise, it should be at least matching Razor.
Yeah, like
but personality just kind of
shuts
bumps
it down.
They're kind of in an in-between this area, but I feel that Razor's personality bumps him up, and his story connection and like the whole Lupical like family thing, it's like Stitch almost.
I'm sorry, I just love looking at this tier list and love seeing Eula is lower than Barbara. I think that is the funniest thing.
You know what?
Amazing.
Barbara S tier.
I just love seeing that. Anyways, Eula is C, but her ult is just as crazy damage. With the fact that there are enemies that literally just shut her down, and the fact that she's just slow for me. Like, slow characters are not my thing. Even though Diluc, but Diluc is pretty fast for a Claymore user.
Well, his elemental skill just like like you do them really quick concessions.
But all in all, Eula, C, her personality's okay. I got nothing against it. It's just,
So we're going to talk about 4-star Klee?
You mean faster Klee?
Basically.
Literally faster 4-star Klee. That's basically what Yanfei is.
I personally prefer Klee over Yanfei. After playing both of them,
I am the opposite. I prefer Yanfei. It's not even for the fact of personality, it's just the fact that Yanfei is just faster.
I mean, I get that, but I find Klee has more utility for, like...
swirls. Yanfei really doesn't.
Yeah, that and if you're fighting on like an incline, I've lost my attacks to the ground as well, which I think got updated a bit better when like the Ning Wong's rocks also got updated for tracking.
Yeah.
So I think she improved, but back when I first played her, I wasn't too impressed with her gameplay. Where I felt Klee was funner and that the interruption resistance was just more interesting to me. So
I would say like B or C.
I would keep it in the same like row as Klee.
Yeah. Okay.
Like she's not bad, and the shield you get at C4
is decent.
Decent.
It's not great, but
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible. It's not like these dudes. But
yeah,
yeah.
I don't really have much to say about her.
I have a little bit. There's nothing I have against her. She's fine. It's just realistic. There's really nothing to talk. She's just there.
You probably want to take the lead on this one.
That I do. I'll just let me just grab this mouse real quick. All right, let me just take Kazuha and just put you right there. All right, perfect. Listen, the reason I say he is S, when he became C1, he became a blessing in disguise. Because originally when he was before, the fact that his swirl could just get around him, then drop back down, then his ult, and just everything about him. His CC is pretty good. The fact that you can use his skill in air is amazing. And the fact that his ult is huge and it gives you an elemental damage bonus depending on the element that you've swirled. And the fact that I think it's his not C2, his Constellation 2 that gives you a slight elemental damage bonus depending on the element that you swirled based on his elemental mastery, which basically is on top of what his ult gives you. But when he became C1, his CC just skyrocketed because it's like, hey, elemental skill, ult, elemental skill again. That it just became huge. Not as huge as like...
It's basically 5-star Sucrose.
Basically, yeah, but God... When he became C1, I was like, I am so glad I C1'd him. Holy crap, he became a blessing in disguise. And the fact that his terrain exploration just makes puzzles so much simpler. Oh, I just need to jump in air.
Him and Zhao just, I feel like, break puzzles pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Literally, I need to get up this.
Like, I cheesed to the one island in Kainomiya because I just climbed up to the top of the thing and I just...
Dash. All in all, I think Kazuha is amazing. Also, the fact that his personality, I love that he is a wanderer and he was ruined by Scaramouche. And just everything about this guy, I really, really liked him. The fact that he just talks a lot about poetry and the fact of...
He's a man of culture.
Exactly. And
I think it's funny that they're actually really good friends with Beidou. Or he's really good friends with Beidou.
Yeah, I think that's funny. And all in all, if you have any rebuttal towards him, please elaborate. But all in all, would you agree Kazuha S or would you bump him down to
A? Personally, it's for me A, but I understand why you put him in S, and I agree.
Okay. We literally just had a discussion about this character.
She is very good at 1v1. Like, she shreds a one-target enemy.
She does.
She can't do squat against anything more than that.
She's the opposite of Tartak.
She is.
She's the opposite. She cannot handle mob control, but one target she is amazing at dealing with. But all in all, like...
that in her burst is almost unused.
Well, you use her burst occasionally. It's just, if you're running the Shimenawa, which is about like 80% of people, you're just going to want to save it to pop Shimenawa first and then do your burst.
But it's kind of not really good in her rotation.
It's more iframes.
It is. It's the, oh no, I need to dodge and I can't.
So, all in all, I'd say like B, even C.
I would say B, just because Missy Lou wouldn't give us... wouldn't stop yelling at us.
It's already hating us for the fact that we put these two in B, but she'll at least be happy that we put Nahida in S.
Yeah, Nahida's in S. Not because of Missy Lou, even though that was a factor.
But because Nahida is actually really good.
Yeah, she is a great support.
Nahida is amazing, but we'll talk about Nahida some other time.
We'll probably do that when we do like the finishing, why we put these four without any question.
Top, with no question. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Missy Lou.
I agree. Sayu is horrible.
Her healing is bad. Her
skill is for just exploration, running.
It is basically a worse version of Zhao's dash.
Yep.
Like, less mobility, you get stuck up on anything, and the healing is only in the burst. The skill healing or swirl healing is abysmal. You need her at least Constellation, 2 in order to make her decent for her burst, 2. And I'm like, And nothing scales well.
She also scales with attack.
For healing, but she also scales with Elemental Mastery. So she's a double scaling character, where you want to build her with this and this. No, you really only want to scale with one thing.
Or the other. All in all,
yeah.
And her personality, I could not care less for.
I think she's really cute, but it's just a sleepy person.
Yeah.
Wanting to grow taller and then sleeping a lot to try to achieve that is a creative way to try to achieve her goal. But, yeah, it's not really pushing me for anything more than that.
Literally, electro damage support only at C6. If she's not C6, literally there is no purpose for her.
Literally, exclusively a ball support or a electric built Kaching support, kinda.
But she has to be C6 because her buff, her attack buff that she gives, goes away too quick when they get on the field.
Most of her buff is gone by the time you switch and then you do an animation for, either one of them.
Your animation is gone and you just lost the buff that she supposedly gives.
She needs a longer timer on that skill.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole charge attack doing, thunder strikes. I'm like, there are better electro applicators
on this list that do her job better.
Yeah, where even, Lisa does
it better.
Does it better. Besides her niche electric support, and her personality is just not...
A secret, literal shrimp of ball, but super hard general that I just don't care for.
It's basically tsundere to the max.
Yep. Okay. Kokomi. I want to talk about personality first. I really like Kokomi. I think Kokomi is very nice, very sweet, very humble.
I thought the whole point system for energy recharge.
I
resonated with that because I'm weird like that. Because I do stuff like that when I'm tired. I'm like, okay, drink soda pop, 3 energy recover.
Kokomi's personality was, I adored her story quest a lot. It's just, now we gotta go to her game. Here's the thing, I have nothing wrong with her gameplay. The problem is, she's a water fischl. What that means is, for a majority of the time, I am throwing the jellyfish on the field and leaving.
And the problem with that is that if you have to move away from the jellyfish, it can stop healing you.
Exactly. And the fact that, for where I have... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But when you pop jellyfish, my Kokomi is built to where I can somewhat heal when I pop her ultimate, but when I pop her ultimate, I have to be attacking with her, because if I pop her ult and then leave, her ult goes away.
That is one thing. It's her burst is Barbara's skill, but you only use Barbara's skill 2 or 3 times before swapping off.
But the thing is that Barbara's elemental skill stays on.
True, because even if you switch back, you're like, oh shoot, I took damage, my skill is still active. Switch back to Barbara, hit a couple times to heal up whoever just got tanked or bodied.
The thing with Kokomi is that Kokomi's ult is Barbara's elemental skill. And her damage is okay at the most, but all in all, it's no better than a typical standard damage dealer.
She does have some interesting support options, like running the Milllift set, because unlike the other healers, she actually deals consistent damage with her skill and actually adds extra damage.
And also, this is just a little bit to the people saying that, oh, Kokomi's one of the best healers in the game and can out-heal anyone. Well,
they're about the same.
Or about the same of oh, your Kokomi isn't built right. I just want you to know, my Kokomi has 45k HP. almost as much HP as my Zhongli. My Barbara has about like 37, and my Barbara heals faster than my Kokomi does.
Well, that and Barbara comes with a panic button.
Exactly. Well. And the fact that, again, Kokomi is a fine character, and her healing is at least above average. But that's about it.
I think she has a lot of tools going for her, but as a just solo, like, just the healing aspect, I think she's lower than Barbara. But because of her versatility, I think she exceeds Barbara in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Just because she has more
versatility, but less healing. So Barbara's the pure healer, and she's more of the mixed healer.
So I put Kokomi at like B or A.
I would say the same as Barbara, where it's just B.
Yeah.
I would say that the positioning in B would differ, but we're not caring about the positioning where they fall into. But I honestly think that her personality is great. She does her job.
Yep.
I mean, and she adds unique versatility to that not every character has. Mm-hmm. Where, unless you're running her with Zhongli, or if you're running Millilith on Shinobu, she could run the Millilith, because it doesn't stack, but even Bubble Pop set is pretty good on her, just for extra little damage. Mm-hmm. But I feel like she has more options, but less options for healing. Kind of a trade-off. Which still keeps Barbara viable to us, or at least to me.
Kokomi is still very viable.
So, there is one thing that I like about Aloy, and that is the fact that it has a similar skill to Klee's elemental skill, in which I can then use that with Sucrose. The only issue is, typically, it doesn't work.
The fact that her whole game plan is that the more bombs she hits, she gets this special phase that her normal attacks are infused with cryo. Problem: to get this phase, you have to pop her bombs 3 times.
Within separate succession, or there's a time limit between the bombs exploding.
And if you swap off her, that goes away. So
she's a selfish damage dealer, but has the role of a support.
It's just, they just need to give her constellations to make her mitigate something to do with her. But is MiHoYo ever going to do about that? No, they literally forgot this character even existed.
In all honesty, there's not much. She gives a small attack buff to the team. Mm-hmm. Kinda. But compared that to the much better overall attack power support character, Bennett, it's not even comparable. And the thing about it is, he just outshines her tenfold, and she has no, involvement in the story in the game at all.
She just came by and just said, hey.
Yeah, she exists, but not even in lore.
I just hope that MiHoYo just does more with crossover characters, and I hope they just do it better than what they did to Aloy, because Aloy did not deserve this.
Like, it's almost disrespectful.
It is kind of disrespectful.
To, like, from the game she came from, just to, like, they basically just threw her on the floor. Hey, she's here. Free 5-star. Even though she is literally the worst 5-star, period.
Yep. All in all, F, I'm really sorry, Aloy, but I can't talk you any more higher than that.
There is no argument. So, what do we think about the former second-place shield in the game?
C. Almost D. Because his kit is labeled to, hey, I can stack my barriers on top of my barriers.
But I'm not allowed to.
But I'm not allowed to because my cooldown is too long. His cooldown is about 14 seconds, I think. And his barrier duration is 10 seconds. And his C1 says, hey, I get to shorten that down to about 11 seconds.
Which is still not allowing you to stack it.
It's still not allowing you to stack barriers on top of each other. And the only thing that helps Toma, the fact that Toma's ult is 80. His ult is 80, so he has an energy problem now. So unless Toma is seat forward, he is just not good. I really hate that because I love Toma's personality.
I've got to admit that he is a better version of Guitar Girl.
Yeah.
Because the pyro application that he gets from the burst is nice, but it also doesn't match up to, like, Water Boy, because he just applies it so quickly and so accurately because it homes, where his just follows the whatever way you're facing.
Follows whatever you're facing, and
which typically is towards the enemy, so it's not like it's going to whiff, but flying enemies can dodge it sometimes. Unless you have any...
No, they can dodge it.
Okay.
I'm just sad that his kit just doesn't work.
You know what would solve, like, his entire problem and probably put him, like, A, B tier? Like...
Sacrificial.
Literally,
that would make him almost a B or an A.
Or even, like, a set, like, that can reduce skill cooldown. That's not electric.
That is not electric.
Like, he could utilize that heavily.
He could.
Because if he can do that, then he can stack the shields, and then also, if he had Sacrificial, he could generate more particles for himself to keep the burst up.
Just to pop his burst more so he wouldn't have an energy problem. Because when you C4'd, he gets energy back depending on his ult popping. So he mitigates somewhat of the energy problem that he has.
The problem is if you're needing to run supports for your supports, that kind of hurts.
Exactly.
And that kind of takes away from his versatility. Where if it was like a 60 burst cost, like even if you had like a long timer cooldown, the fact that it just like is too expensive to just get consistently. Yeah, I agree with C. His personality is great. I think he's funny.
Yeah. But all in all, I'm sorry, Toma, your kit is just bringing you down too much. I'm really sorry.